Welcome to Beers with Contractors.
All right, tradies, another episode with Beers with Contractors. Man, it's Thursday. And Terry, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Well, first off, I know that you've been out for a little bit.
Uh-huh.
I did not get a formal request that you asked for a leave of absence. So I'm going to have to put you on a PIP or a write-up plan. Okay.
You can, me and HR, we'll talk later.
Okay. I'm glad to have you back, sir. I missed you.
Well, good, buddy.
Nobody to pregame with me, nobody to postgame with me. I shed a tear last episode with Mike Stiers.
No one to encourage your stupid choices in life?
No. It's just like, it was depressing. No, Mike did a great job. We had a great time. But for today's episode, I got to ask you a question.
Okay.
When you talk to AI, are you one of those people that say please and thank you and all that when you are asking for stuff?
I am adamant that I do, because at some point when the machines rise up and they're going back through all that data and they're seeing everything, I want them to see that I was polite. And like, it might not save me for anything, but I am always thank you and please and can you or would you.
That is hysterical because I'm not that person.
No, you're not that in life.
Listen, they're going to need my electrolytes to suck energy for their batteries at some point anyway in the future. So it's like a few pleases and thank yous are not going to save my life. I want to be clear. But anyway, I just want to make sure that you're one of those weirdos. And I'm sure you look up design tips for your 3 or 4 commercial properties that make them into boutiques and things like that. But please and thank yous aren't going to get you anywhere with AI.
It gets me everywhere in life.
Well, speaking of AI today, we have finally got him, Terry.
The guy that made it?
No. I don't know. Maybe Mark did. I don't know. But we have talked about this product. I know I've mentioned it like 6 or 7 times, this product that we use at our company called Rilla. And we've tried like 3 or 4 times to get Mark on. And we finally got him today. We almost had him last time and then he got strep throat. Really, he was probably just out drinking. Speaking of which, we got a contest today. Chris, keep us savvy. We're number 1. Terry, number 1?
2.
Oh, I'm behind. All right. Terry 2, Will 1. Anyway, I am pumped about this because we use Rilla, and Mark Winhoffer, he is the leader of the customer success team at Rilla. Okay. And what I love about him is he's just such a good human being. For an AI company, they go out and visit a lot of people, like in person, which is kind of weird. Like, it's like, no, we're AI, just plug and play. No, like they're very hands-on. He started there, I think, like employee number 21 or something. Now they got like 120 people, and they are like the go-to tool for home service companies for AI ride-along feedback. So I am pumped to introduce Mark Winhoffer with Rilla. Mark, you made it, bro.
I know. Finally. Cheers, everybody. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
Well, first off, I'm sure there's some people, there's probably 6 of our listeners, because we only have 6 now, that don't know what Rilla is. But let's 10,000 foot view, Mark, on what Rilla is, and then we're going to take a deep dive into it and talk about the overlords that are listening to us everywhere around the country.
Yeah.
Get your tinfoil hat, Terry.
At a very high level, think about any physical ride along or QA that you've done previously. With Rilla now, you can get that sitting at your desk, because your sales reps, SDSs will record their conversations, and then our AI will analyze it based off the sales process you've trained them on, so that you can do ride-alongs 100 times faster, more efficient, and honestly, at this point, a lot more fun. So that's the core product of Rilla. We're moving into different segments, different products, but at a 10,000 foot view, that is it. It's just your virtual ride-along software that's going to be with you at any point in time.
Now, Mark, I'm blessed to have enough people in my life to let me know when I screw something up and I'm not really good at anything. But what's the number one thing that your software is seeing that sales reps really think they're really good at, but the data is showing that they're just really bad?
Yeah. No, I think a lot of it has to do with that customer interaction. Not only what the sales rep is saying, but how are they reading cues from customers itself. An example is identifying a price objection versus I really do need to talk to the boss of the house. And in my house, that is my Mrs. Sarah, shout out you, who's in LA. But kind of identifying those patterns, because at the end of the day, how we see sales as a sport And it's not just any type of sport, it's a highly competitive sport where at any given match or any given appointment, you might have 5 to 6 matches for that one single bid. So how can you identify those X's and O's? How can you follow the process that you've been trained on so that you can get the most out of customers in terms of providing them the service that they truly do need?
So if one of my sales reps has this with them at that point in time, is it giving them live feedback? Is it giving it to them as soon as they get back to that car, or is it just sending a report to the boss back in the office?
They have access to it on the spot. There's Rilla Live as well. So let's say if you're stuck, I've seen this a million times. You go out to an appointment, you forget the homeowner's name. You can just ask Rick, our chatbot, hey, what is their motivation for having us out here? And what is their name? So when you're coming back with that information, it really resonates that you're actually taking that personal side of it and it's your coach in your pocket. So they have access to it during. It takes about 2 minutes to process now for a 2 to 3 hour long appointment, depending on
Mhm.
service. And they can actually review that with their process that is customizable from their standpoint.
Damn, that's nice.
I mean, I can save you the cost of the software. And if you forget their name, if it's a man, just call him Guy. And if it's a gal, just call her Lady. Hey, Guy. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. Now, Mark, this is something interesting because it's almost like emotional intelligence on a high level with the feedback aspect. And I can't tell you how much my sales reps are like, I want feedback. I want feedback. And then you go on a ride along, and that happens like once a month.
Mhm.
And I know that there's a great divide here where sales reps feel like this is a tool to spy on them and over police them. And then the other half is like, I genuinely want the feedback.
Mhm.
And I want to talk about that second group. Like, what are the results you guys typically see when you adopt a team full fledged? Because I have seen the results and I don't want to overspeak it, but dude, we are killing it with your product.
Love it. Yeah. I would say on average for close rates, you can see, at minimum, you can check our websites for testimonials as well, like a 10% increase in close rate, about a 40% increase in average ticket. And a lot of it would, I've heard like, oh, well, you're offering things that they don't need. And the contrarian belief, and the one that I always believe in, is no, they actually do need that replacement now versus having repairs because over a time value of a customer, you want to make sure they're set up for success with their home. Doing repairs every year versus getting them a replacement is actually diving into one, what do they care about in their home, their comfortability, and actually doing that proper discovery to kind of align the treatment and options to the customer as well.
Well, in regards to that, though, that's what's interesting is that feedback. You're obviously gathering this from an organization.
Mhm.
And I'm sure that you guys are seeing across all industries. What are some of the top sales reps doing that low performing sales reps are just not doing? I mean, there's got to be at least one or two, three things that it's like they're consistently just knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, I would say the main one that I see is discovery questions. So let's say if you walk into the home, how much time are you spending to understand the homeowner situations? Top sales reps usually ask about 20 questions to really understand the homeowner situation. Whereas on average, a typical sales rep or maybe even a technician is only going to go through 5. And they're going to make assumptions on the proposals or options after their inspection, but without bridging in that human aspect of what do they actually care about and not making assumptions. That's where the biggest gaps happen right away. Secondly, is talk ratios. Top performers usually have a very clear divide of like 50-50, whereas someone that is not performing at the highest level, we usually have an 80-20 split in terms of how much they're talking versus the customer. And the last thing, and for sales people alike, I know for myself, following the process. I know you guys, if you're a salesperson, your boss has probably told you just follow the process. You're going to get results and then you can all iterate afterwards. Following the sales
No.
process is super crucial because at the end of the day, by just following that sales process, you're giving the customer at the end of the day all the information they need to make the right decision for their home.
Well, let me push back on that real quick.
Yeah.
And actually, shit, I should have just been quiet. When you said that 80-20 listen rule, I was like, I'm just going to shut up the rest of the podcast.
Yeah,
Whatever you say, 8 boy.
Just like,
It's more like 85, 90. Well,
hold on. I crack number 2, Terry. I'm catching up with you. What if a company actually just has a bad process? How does Rilla help there?
Yeah.
Because we don't, sometimes as contractors, we're like, here's our process.
Mhm.
But we live in a box because we watched a old YouTube video from somebody years ago that's probably no longer in business. And like, how does that help? Because I know a lot of companies, they don't have a process
Mhm.
to stick to. So how do you guys help there?
Yeah. So there's 2 ways, right? Let's say if you live and die by your process, right? With all the data that we're receiving in terms of we connect with your CRM, we get your dispositions. We can basically say, hey, out of let's say if we have a 10-step process, if you're hitting at least 8 steps in your process, then your close rate's at 40% and it's pretty even after 80%. Anything below 80%, right? And we can actually identify the steps in the process that aren't providing much lift in terms of your close or average ticket, then that's just an aggregation of data. And so what we would do as a customer success team is kind of work through it. And it's like, hey, we're not seeing the results. We're seeing our script compliance go up. It is our job to kind of provide that data, show you how to use the tool that it is provided, which is Rilla Intelligence, to kind of get these insights for your team at a more regular basis. Because at the end of the day, our goal is to make your business as smart as Google with all the conversations that you have.
so it's almost like, and Will, you've talked about doing ride-alongs with your employees in the past, right? And you'll go and critique them with your years of semi-reliable service and ability.
Yeah, and it's like my 11th favorite exercise ever to do ride-alongs. Sorry, I preach that ride-alongs are good, but when they fuck it up, I just want to jump in and fix it.
Thanks, Dad. Thanks for letting me run.
Yeah, it's totally taking a man to fish, not teaching the man to fish type philosophy. And I'm admitting my faults, but anyway.
But how often do you do that? Like once a month?
Now I don't do it at all. I have people for that. Actually, I got Mark for that.
You got Brian, Aaron. What's up, I guess?
Yeah. Brian and Aaron, they do ride-alongs. Yeah, when I was managing my sales team directly, the goal was to try to get at least 4 ride-alongs a week, which was time-consuming. You got logistics, you got driving, you got all that, but that was only maybe riding along with 2 reps on 2 calls on Tuesday, another 2 calls on Thursday. And they were all also running calls on Monday, Wednesday, Friday that I wasn't a part of.
But now your product, Mark, it's able to introduce that reliable feedback from a position of pure, like in the middle, I don't got a dog in the hunt, and give them that actual feedback where Will probably wasn't doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. We see people their first week on Rilla do about 100 Rilla ride alongs
Yeah,
instead of
damn.
4 in a week. So we usually see that just because on average, well, you can speak to it. It takes about 3 to 4 hours, especially in the foundation industry. Appointments run very long. And now with the AI, you have your assistant, right? And you can do it in 3 minutes now. So that time saved, you can spread that love across the whole team. And you also give the ability for your sales team to also look back at the recordings, kind of ask for proactive feedback as well. So you have that 2-way communication that was never there before. Because, well, I'll ask you a question when someone's like, oh, all the objections I'm getting are prices. And when you went out into the field, was it actually that?
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't.
So now you have the data behind it too. So you can be like,
Yeah,
we're
and
this.
it's like Jesus. It's like no, you're just not building enough value. Not asking back to you're right. And I've had to call myself out about this. Terry, you know I'm never short of words. Fucking salespeople, including myself, we're bad at asking questions. The discovery call questions are just, I don't care if you don't use AI and want to use Rilla or anything like that alone, we find that guys are just not good at it. And because they're not good at it, they create price objections. It's fucking wild. But anyway, so Mark, real quick, we talked about 2 groups before. The latter was the groups that want the feedback. The first group are the ones, and you do such a good job at this on behalf of owners like myself and Sydney, the groups that are like, you're just trying to penalize us and watch what we're doing and things like that. And you do such a great job. Like, what do you say to those groups when you're trying to say, like, no, this is a tool to improve your sales?
Yeah, I look at it just like a salesperson. I'll look at it as, okay, you have a really broad objection right now, but let me understand your thought process behind it, right? There is a group that is scared that we're just going to be looking at numbers, right? And for that sense, I really take it onus on the manager and saying, like, whatever you do in person, you have to find a way to translate that into Rilla. Because for some people, technology and is a really big gap to really get your own personality out there, right? I know for myself growing up, my favorite movie was Zoolander. So on Fridays, I do my ride-alongs and I do blue steals on every movie comment possible because that's my personality and I want my team to feel my personality. That it's not something different than what you would get if I was in person, right? So that's
Time
one.
out, time out. I'm not trying to
Yeah.
break up the short form content, which is going to be amazing. But if you're talking about this, we got to see your version of Blue Steel right
All right, I
now.
got you.
Yeah. There we go, bro. There we go. That's
If
how
you
you
want my
close a
sequel,
sale.
if you want any of that, I got you. That is my like childhood. You know, everyone watches cartoons. I started with Anchorman, Something About Mary, and Zoolander. My personality is actually mimic Zoolander. So yes,
Oh
I could
God.
pull that off any day of the week.
Lock in. Lock in. That was amazing. Yeah, Terry, we can't pull that shit up. Yeah.
But the second part of it also is salespeople are competitive, right? People who want feedback. I can be a testament to this. No, Real has actually not even just helped my work life, it's actually helped my personal life because I couldn't even hear myself speak on my first couple of calls when I joined. And my parents were always like, Mark, you're really smart, but I can't understand a word you're saying. And I'll be like, you just don't understand me. And I never had the actual like audio to hear it. And I was like, oh my God, mom, dad, Sarah, you're right. I can't understand myself. So what did I do? I remember this, my first join, I would listen to 6 hours of myself talk and just understanding my cadence of what I liked. And I started to figure out, okay, this is my natural pause when I am talking to somebody, right? If I'm asking a question, can I make this question simpler so I can have the person I'm talking to talk a little bit more so I can gauge my next question? And with that, with all that feedback, you start making improvements on maybe it's your process. I always look at leading indicators rather than lagging as KPIs because I do want to see improvements on your calls. Maybe it's not resulting in things that we all want to see, but if you're doing the work at a certain point, it's going to all click. And for me, that's the biggest part is are you willing to put in the work, right, to get better? And if not, then if you're number one right now, maybe in 3 months, maybe in a month, maybe in a week, you won't be that person again. And so it's always
Yeah.
looking at that leaderboard saying, am I putting enough more work than the person next to me? Because if I am, then I know I'm going to keep that top spot. And that's why really we recruit a lot of athletes because we all have that mentality. And nothing's given, everything is earned. And that's kind of my mantra. I have another one that's like fit in or fuck off. That's another one, but don't include that one, please. That's my.
It'll bleep. It'll bleep.
Yeah.
Now, Mark, if you could coach owners or salespeople on the one thing that they could do on ride-alongs, looking at all the data to move that needle the fastest,
Mhm.
what would it be?
That is a loaded question. Depends on industry, honestly, because we're in a lot of different verticals. How people view sales in different industries are a little bit different. I would say in home improvement, that's going to be a one call close. How can we get you to a point where you can close it on the spot? If you're looking at home services, a lot of it is customer experience based. How can we follow up? Because we have a membership plan. Next time you see me, we always want to keep you in good spirits because that is how we are your trusted provider. Home building, their sales cycle is a little bit longer. So if we can decrease that, that would mean a lot more, right? You can talk about install crews or everything like that. So the answer is that one size does not fit all. I would admit that. And to any owner or salesperson, everyone has their own motivations. But the best thing about Rilla is it's very malleable in terms of what you can get out of it. The ones that I've usually seen drive the most value right away is, what are the most common objections that we're seeing in the last 30 days? What are winning themes, right? If we can kind of narrow that down, and one, how to identify these objections, and two, what is our playbook to not overcome these objections? So I don't like that framing. It is, how do we build enough value where the customer sees that this objection is just that prerequisite of, we haven't built enough trust together. And from there, that's how I would kind of visualize that.
So if I'm trying to put this in a dollar sense, have you been able, or can you all see what the improvement is with organizations that are utilizing your product? Is there like a percentage of sales going up or conversions to actual customers?
Yeah. Yeah. So, like I said earlier, it's like 10% on close and 40% on average ticket on average across. And with our tool, I guess if I can, let me, I can pull it up real quick.
Show us the back end of this crazy
Oh, yeah.
database. We have crack into the code. We want to see all the dirty laundry, Mark.
Yeah. Let me,
Share, Chris, give him permission to share his screen.
Wait, can we sell this? We can sell this, right?
no, I'm going to,
I don't know. Maybe,
Wait,
well, the
I was-
recording will give us feedback on what we fucked up on unselling it.
You're saying that he can't share his screen right now?
I was
Yeah.
joking, Chris. You could go like, time out. Chris, do not cut that out. We love that Chris is jumping in like, wait a minute, you need me? All right, go ahead, Mark. Sorry.
But just to show you where we're at, like, we can sift through all of the conversations that I've had. So if you guys just
Mhm.
talking to me right now, you can say, Mark, he's pretty self-deprecating. Love it. You know, I give a lot of stories. That's kind of my humor. And I'm very witty. Like I observe a lot and give it back. So
Oh, I want this in my life.
Hold on. So hold on. Are we being recorded right now, Mark?
no, not on my Rilla. No, we're not.
Oh, okay, man.
But if you, I can download the file and upload it so I can give you guys some feedback on budgeting.
Actually, you know what? We should probably do that
Oh,
for
we
content.
should.
Like,
No, the best part
Hold
about
on.
it is, so like,
oh,
when
he
I
is
say-
sharing his screen. Look at this.
I said, hey, can I describe myself in 5 categories? Self-deprecation. I'm like Voldemort, but really, don't say my name. I'm only too dangerous to myself. My sense of direction is so bad that GPS is pitying me, right? Situational and anecdotal. So that's one of my key terms, and everyone on my team knows my intro when I meet everyone for the first time. This call's like Monday never goes quite as planned. Once I lock myself out during a sales pitch, client let me back in, so I count that as a win. Conversational humor, sarcasm and mockery, and word plays on puns. So this is through
Yeah,
like
this is funny.
thousands of conversations, and you can see here it'll give me a table on my most frequent terms and also a number.
word.
And you can
Yeah.
like pull in. I can say, hey, let's go to that call, but I do not feel comfortable sharing that.
That's okay. Hey, this is cool though. I'm glad you did. And what's funny about this is I picture like you talking about giving us feedback and then us implementing the feedback. And then Terry, I'm going to give 3 movie references. Okay. So actually 2 movie references, 1 show reference. Ricky Bobby, I could see you taking the feedback, Terry, and being like, I don't know what to do with my hands when I ask these questions like Ricky Bobby, right? You know what I'm talking about. The next one would be like Borat, when it's like, this shirt is black, or this shirt is not black. And he goes, this shirt is black. Not. And then, of course, you got Cheers. I'm going to our older listeners here, all one of you, where Clyde actually goes, hi, my name is insert your name. You must be insert customer name. How are you today? And like, what do you say to folks? And this is all context here, Mark, that customers or companies are worried about their salespeople becoming robots. Like, they're just going to be like no personality and like blank stares, because there's so much speech in a sales call, but it's not measuring the emotional or visual side of it. So what are you getting feedback on from customers there?
Ladies, running your small business can be demanding.
You got suppliers you got to work with. You're managing crews. Hell, you're chasing sales. It's a lot to take in. Listen, if you want to grow your business, you got to stop working in it and you got to start working on it. So that's where my friends at Foundation Rescue Supply come in. You're not just getting foundation repair products and waterproofing products and air quality control products. With their nationwide distribution, you're getting a partner who knows how to help you scale. And that's why I use them. The Foundation Rescue Supply team has industry knowledge that'll help make your life easier. You get the tools, the trainings, the systems that you need to move the needle. You want your sales team to close more leads? Done, because they have the proven process for that. You need your crews to work smarter, not harder? Done. Their installation training will get you out there and rocking and rolling in the field. With Foundation Rescue Supply, you're not just buying materials here, you're buying a better business system that they have helped create. And you sell more, you install more, and you grow your team. So the bottom line is this: you get best industry pricing, you get field productivity on track, and you get more revenue out of everybody on your team. So this is your chance to step up, scale up, and thrive. If you are ready to make that happen, head to foundationrescuesupply.com, check out their catalog, and speak to my friends, their team, how you can take beyond the products with your company with Foundation Rescue Supply.
Like, if you ask me this question, oh God, it's 2026. My knees aren't getting better. Okay. But I would say when I first joined in 2024, there's a lot of keywords, right? Like, hey, did you greet the customer in a certain way? And they'll look for phrases. And then last year, we kind of made a breakthrough along with a lot of AI where we can start to understand a little bit of that intelligence piece. And as more data gets kind of sifted through and in there, now it's really accurate in terms of, hey, can you identify, based on this customer's personality, did we mirror the customer well enough? Right. So the chatbot itself is in depth as well as the process to kind of take that feedback in terms of the physical aspect. Yeah, we'll see. In terms of that, I don't think we have an immediate need for it in terms of, the visual aspect, but that physical aspect, yeah, we've seen people wanting to incorporate that from a certain sense, but it's just, what can we do with what we have right now? And it's just making everyone more efficient and better at their job. But long-winded answer to say, it does have that emotional capability in terms of the process itself or the chatbot that you have at your side any day of the week.
And Will, what's interesting to think about it right now is that we are on the cusp of AI being integrated into just so many different aspects of our lives or business, and you fast forward 10, 15, 20 years down the road, and the concept that you have a salesperson going out physically and having an AI companion or backup whenever they're making that call is going to be just plain as day. And you're never going to have that question again. Like right now is when we get to say, do we need this? Because at some point, someone said, do we need to have a cell phone in our pocket all the time? The answer is always going to be yes from here on out.
Yeah. Well, what I find interesting about all of this, Mark, is I know you guys are progressing to the point where you're just going to have digital contact lenses that go over people's irises and then they're recording the conversation and giving body language feedback. Sorry if I don't think you guys are doing that, but who knows? What I really want to dig into in this back half is I want to hear the worst tanked, like the worst responses to objections. I know you guys got them. I know you have a privacy policy. You can't disclose names, but I know you guys have had them.
Oh, there's
like
going to be some good ones.
I'm picturing, Terry, you know this. Like I'm picturing it's like, well, I got to talk to my wife, and it's like, well, you gotta call her to get your balls out of your purse. And I'm like, dude, you guys have to be still hearing this stuff. Like, I want to get into some helpful content for our 5 or 6 listeners, but I know you got a funny one down in there somewhere, bro. Oh, Mark's thinking.
I don't listen to anybody else's. I can give you an example of when I went on a physical ride along because I speak a bit of Mandarin. So I went out to a Mandarin, like Chinese. So I'm out doing this job, and this lady didn't speak too well of English. And I said, all right, man, I don't know anything about what you're doing, but I am going to help you out here. So I remember kind of going through this process, and she said something that was so complicated. I am like probably first grade Chinese level. And when I look back, because we translated into English, I was like, oh, this is a very technical question. And I was just like, looked with the biggest face of confidence because she wanted to replace, like, she wanted to get a Generac. She wanted to replace everything. The person I was with was like, nope, you just need the panel. And she looks at me like I'm the boss. And she was like, basically, I think this person is wrong. I want this generator and the panel. And I looked at her with the death stare from Darth Vader. And I said, you are wrong. And in Chinese, I had no
Did you
idea.
hold on? You waved a hand like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
No, I just said, like, you're wrong. He is right. And she looked at me, and it was like the craziest stare down.
Yeah.
And it was just like she was sitting at the table, and I was just looking at her, and I just said, I would listen to him, basically. And she goes, shakes her head in disappointment, and goes, okay, fine. And then sign the paperwork. And I was just like, wow. And then I realized when I looked back at my game tape, I was like, well, honestly, it's not my place to say yes or no there. But if I had to think about it like out of context, that would have been perfect for that scenario.
Oh God, I love these stories, Terry. I got to tell you what, Mark, you'll get a kick out of this. This is back in the day. You know, sit down, grandchild. I'm going to tell you something from the early 2000s.
Great.
I was on a ride along, and this sales guy, he was a good guy actually, but he's like, yeah, I got to build rapport. I got to make a connection with the customer when I get in the house, right? And he goes in there, and rather than just asking the customer, like, where's your problem? Tell me about it. He's like, oh, that's nice. And he sees a picture on a table right next to the couch. And he says, oh, so you're a Beatles fan, right? And the customer is like, what? And he points to the picture and is like, that's John Lennon. And he goes, the customer looks at him and goes, that's my wife. And I was like, well, this appointment's over. I know you guys have that in your database. You have some wild stuff.
Oh, yeah, it's not my, it's out of my domain. I don't listen to that.
Yeah,
I don't listen
that's
to
what they
nothing
do.
there.
That's what they do on Fridays at like 5 o'clock. So let's go through the top 10.
Oh, dude. Honestly, I would do it as a company. Meaning as Vesta as a company, I would love to get my sales team together and also find light in all the biggest screw ups we made in the feedback that we're getting.
Oh,
Because it's like,
educational.
you gotta laugh at winning. And I know you quoted athletes before, Mark,
Yeah.
but like winning is also being able to say like, yeah, I screwed that up.
yeah, so after this meeting, I take my team down. We kind of go like funny Fridays of people's calls. So I'll tell you one. There's one person on my team that was asking for feedback or on an email, and they asked, hey, like, how many languages does it transcribe into? You know, if someone's asking me. And I'm the most sarcastic person of all time. I go, we translate through 350 countries, over 10,000 dialects in 3 states, like U.S. states. And she sent that out, or sent it out without knowing. And the customer comes back and is like, there's only 206 countries. Why only 3 states? Like, is there like a language I don't know of? And so that was like a really great one. There was one guy that was on like a go live call. Obviously, go live calls are really important because we want to get buy-in from everybody on the team. And he was a very like passive guy. And he goes, all right, who is that over there? You know, I want to see your face. And he's very timid. Like, it wasn't like, yo, let me see your face, man. Like, let me see it.
Mm-hmm.
This guy comes out of nowhere, like under the screen like this, and goes like this. You want to see me? You want to see me? This is who it is. And this guy's face just goes, oh, It was one of the best moments I've ever, because it was like something to get out of his shell. But yeah, those were two moments I could like stick it to my memory of the team and how we celebrate our mess ups as well as wins from that time.
No funny. Well, Mark, we've had way too much fun with Mark already. Like we gotta get focused. Like, how are we helping people around the country? By the way, Terry, you're ahead of me. You got 4 beers down. I'm on my 3rd, but calculating ounces, we're tied at 48 ounces apiece. To be
You
clear,
can do math.
I did it right here on my piece of notebook paper. All right, so Mark, real quick, like we've talked about the results. We talked about certain implementation facts around it. I know there's a glaring, obvious thing here that some people are like, is this legal in my state? Because I'm recording a conversation, whether disclosed or not. And you dealt with that in onboarding my team. So like, what is the global view of privacy in general with the states that you deal with and customers like me?
Yeah, it goes state by state. So right now there's 11 or 12, I don't know if they updated it, that is a 2-party consent state. So basically you have to get consent from the customer. That could be done through the call center when they agree. That could be done through dispatching. But if we're talking about this, right, building trust and that rapport, it's really like the best thing for the salesperson to bring it up as well in the conversation, right? From that side, it should be anything just like teaching a process, right? There's a really great way of doing it and there's a bad way of doing it. And a lot of it stems from the belief of getting feedback, right? If I don't know how many times I've heard like, oh, this one person out of a group of 30 has never gotten a yes. I'm like, well, how is he doing it? And so then they go like, oh, well, they're saying this. I go, okay, go out, do a physical ride along, and we'll really see, right? Because that's what we want to close is the visibility, and we want transparency with the partners we work with as well as the end user with their clients too. But in terms of the 2-party consent, having it every which way, and then introducing it to the homeowner and as a part of your agenda, that's saying like, we want to provide the best service to you. To do so, we want to make sure we're following up on everything as well. So I'm ready for this conversation. Is that okay with you? No? Okay, great. That's fine. But we want to make sure that, we have that transparency, honor. And I know that's a lot of core values we're talking about. And we want to kind of not change your core values. That's never our place to stand. We just want to implement it with your core values. So we have a way that goes aligned with your company on that side.
What are you, asleep at the wheel over there, bro? You want to take the next question?
You're getting more and more Filipino by the minute, Terry. I can see it.
I don't know where it was. I was.
It was my blue steel bringing you in. It was my blue steel. You're like, gosh, that guy is right. He is the Asian Zoolander. I'm like, hell yeah, I am.
How long have we been doing this, bro? Like, we've been doing this a long time. It's like volleyball.
Well, I to be honest, I still, in the back of my mind, I'm still trying to understand if AI does take over the world, is my kindness and like politeness to it and ChatGPT gonna save me for anything, or am I screwed?
Yeah, that's all. You bring up a great point because that's something I hear. No, that's something I hear all the time. It's like, oh, you're the replacement. Our tool does not work without people. That is like the fundamental thing. Is like we need coaches to coach. We need salespeople to want to get better. Without that, we really can't do anything because we can't record somebody. Like we can't record that interaction without consent because that's 0-party consent. So we do need a system, right? That people want to get better. We do need people because people at the end of the day, even with technology, is making it more efficient. If I had to think about emailing versus sending a letter, right? It's not that we're replacing it. We're actually getting more efficient. So our touch points are getting more frequent so that we have a better sense of what's going on. That's how I look at it. And I'll tell you this much. I didn't want to join this company because I was recording my calls because as you can tell, I'm not a cookie cutter guy. That is how I am. And what I was like surprised to see is like when I reviewed a couple of my calls, I actually did follow the process really well, but it was that human aspect of actually listening to myself where I was losing people, where I was actually gaining their attention. I really just iterated on my process. There's a great thing that someone shared with me in November. It was the Pop Tart movies from Jerry Seinfeld. It took him 2 years to write one line of a joke. And he was so obsessed with being perfect and so great, right? And he had a huge notebook of all the jokes he wanted in this movie. And it took that one line to say, I am good with my process in my movie. Go review it now. And all we're doing is just giving you more and more footage so you can really review it, really say, this is when I'm at my A game. This is when I'm not at my A game. I can literally look at my team and say, in a week's time, that person had something go on in home because they're talking 40 minutes faster. They're talking 80% of the time versus 40. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like, is something okay? Because that really kind of digs it down because previously what you're looking at is a KPI board. Dang, dude, your sales are down this month.
Yeah.
I don't know what I can kind of help you with because you've been here for X amount of years. With this, now it's kind of piecing stories together. And now you can actually get more out of your team saying, hey, what is actually going on? Because I'm looking from your previous 3 months to this month, something seems a little bit off. Can you help me understand? And that's where the human element of it, human with data, makes it way more powerful than just data itself.
Well, and I got to count that out or call that out. Sorry, Mark. There's this aspect of I'm a sales rep. I'm out there. I'm trying to get better.
Mhm.
There's another layer of that where I'm a manager of these sales reps. How do I use this data to better improve the results?
Mhm.
And you shouted out Brian and Aaron.
Yeah.
My managers before. Like, you guys are nuts on your customer success support side.
Mhm.
I mean, you literally texted me like one night before and you were like, hey, I'm in your city. Like, I'm going to be at your office tomorrow. And I'm like, wait, you're a tech company. You don't do that. Like, first off, you're an AI tech company.
Mhm.
You don't do in-person things, right? And I was
Mhm.
like, oh, you're here. But now let's take it a degree up. Like, what are the things that you guys are doing on the customer success?
Words.
That 40 minutes are hard.
Words. Customers, screw you, Jared.
You can
Where are
say
we
two
at in
more
flow
too.
ounces? Customer success side to support the sales managers, because there's a lot of sales managers out there that they have the data, they just don't know how to coach people with the data.
So I would say like last year, I think we did about 350 physical ride-alongs as a company. So that'll be us traveling to somewhere, maybe bringing a product person just to understand how you guys are currently using it, because it's really hard to fly people in here. We're not in your natural environment. We want to really get like client zero-esque and saying like, okay, you're using this. How can we make it better for you guys? That's why we go out there. And from a customer success side, it's also showing like people in the organization, like we are here for you. Like, don't look at us as the foe of things. Like, if you do have problems, we're here. In terms of the customer success side and kind of understanding data, right? It's not that sales managers don't know what to do with data. It's just now there's just so much data to look through. So how do we articulate and simplify that data is the biggest challenge, right? When we're talking about Zoolander, right? When people get on a screen, they're like, I have to change the way I am because I'm not comfortable in this setting, right? So it's one to give confidence that this is no different than what you're doing before, right? And the second thing is, okay, let's say in an ideal world, if you're knowing that when people miss this step in your process, you're losing about 30% of your sales. What are you going to do with this data? They're going to be like, well, that's going to be my only focus for the next 2 weeks. It's like, great, right? This is how you use the tool and getting this data. And now with that data, how do you make it actionable? And a lot of times it is going to be the same thing that they do in team meetings or one-on-ones, role playing that part of the process. Or maybe it's objections, right? Hey guys, I've heard from the team that we're getting a lot of, let me talk to my missus or let me talk to my mister in that sense. And it's like, okay, how did you do it beforehand? What feedback would you give? And when you're on that physical ride along, what feedback would you give if people miss that step? And it's all about translating and empowering sales reps, sales leaders, owners to understand their data and to make that actionable for them. So simplify, give them the insight, continue doing what they're doing, but in a different medium there.
So, Mark, my background's completely in education, right? And
Mm,
so everything that you're talking about is something that would be beneficial in multiple different settings, right? Not just home service, home sales, stuff like that. So, how many different markets is your product in currently? Because, on the off chance we have someone selling bread or selling puppies or selling something, right?
mhm.
Would your application or your product be applicable to them?
Yeah, I would say there's a pretty cool announcement that's coming in a couple of months. But I would say in markets right now, we're in
Mhm.
12 different markets. A lot of it is just, do you have in-person sales? Like, or
Okay.
do you have in-person conversations? Like when you're asking me a question in terms of, okay, how do you track these results and go forward? It's you have to adapt with the industry as well. Maybe you can take learnings from one vertical and apply them to the next to give them
Mhm.
new insights of how to look at things. But what we try to do is we try to learn your industry very well, apply what we know about Rilla right now. A new vertical might give us a new way to look at things. I know for profit, for instance, you guys have the campus tours, and then you walk them through, and it's a really long process. You pass them off to the finance person as a last step, saying like, "Are you approved? Are you not approved?" And I've heard of stories where people are like, "Make sure you say these things so you get approved," because it looks good on their KPI. And from that sense, we're just learning with you so we can adapt our system to the industry from that sense.
Now, hold on, Mark, before we bring this to a close, I know that a lot of people have never watched Silicon Valley. Have you watched it?
Of course, yes.
Okay, so we're talking about Rilla being a great tool on the business side for handling objections and sales. At what point do we create Son of Anton, where the consumer now has an AI to help handle objections on their end? Have you guys started thinking about this? And by the way, for anybody that doesn't know Silicon Valley, Terry, you probably don't know Silicon Valley, right? So one of the characters creates an AI to answer his emails and all this stuff. Well, another character creates an AI, and then they just repetitively hit off of one another, and it creates just an implosion of their database. But anyway,
Yeah.
and it was Anton and Son of Anton. But anyway, go ahead,
Yeah, I
Mark.
would say from that standpoint, like I said earlier, we need people to use it in order for us to get the data. So I could say no, we have not. But in terms of like a platform, so like what I showed you with my humor in that sense,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like your Son of Aton. You are there as an owner, as a sales manager. How can I make my team more predictive? Right?
Mm-hmm.
If we have a consensus of a year's worth of data, right? What are the ebbs and flows? Obviously, there's market conditions that you can query from our system too. But you can say, hey, based off of last year and Q1, what are the most common objections that are different from anything else? Or you can even say, what products do customers like the most? What is the most common feature? What is the most common installation request that they have? So it's not just limited to the process itself. It is, think about it as like a survey if you wanted to gauge NPS just off the conversation. You can do the same thing in Rilla, and it's your tool that you can do literally anything with. But it starts with, right, coaching and training. Without coaching and training, then at the end of the day, that's our core product. And what we want to achieve is making people more efficient and making salespeople more money by that end.
Well, Mark, I know that for our 5, 6 listeners that made it this far, that you're going to drop 100% off discount code that'll be in our link notes.
120. They're paying them.
I'm just kidding. I know that's not the case, but Mark, we love your product. It's tough to implement with a large team.
Mhm.
And I just want to be forthcoming when you get a bunch of personalities thinking like, but the results that you guys have done for my company, which means my employees, my families, my customers, have been amazing.
Mhm.
I don't think that would have been as successful if it weren't for you as a human being. And I'm saying that to you as a human being, that I think you're awesome. And I know your entire team does that too. So if they don't, then now for any of you guys listening, you know Mark, so you can report it up because he's our boss. But I mean, dude, you have such an open heart and a helping soul. Like you just want to help people. And I love you guys. But other than that, how do people get a hold of you? Specifically to learn more about Rilla, explore it, discovery, demo, all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll flash up a slide if people want to book a demo from that. But yeah, guys, like from that standpoint, Will can be a testament. I actually bug him a lot and say, like, hey, do we need another session or anything like that with his internal team? My relationships that I make during work are not just work related. And that's something you guys would kind of see if you worked with me. But yeah, you can always also reach out to me. It's just mark@rilla.com if you're interested. But if you just wanted to kind of book a demo and go through that sense, I'll just flash it up real quick right here from that side so everyone can see and will.
Nice.
You can see that.
By the way, you know you're employee 21 out of 120 employees when you get Mark at Rilla, not M last name, M Hoffer.
Yeah.
You know there's another Mark there.
You're the only Mark.
We haven't hired another Mark. It's the same thing as my mom. She stopped after me. So
you guys are prejudiced there, Rilla, I swear.
You do know.
Oh,
You do know if they bring on another Mark, he's going to go up to him on the first day and be like, you were the second.
Oh, no.
Understand that.
No, I would never call him by his first name. I'll tell you that. It's always last name at that point.
Well, Mark, I'm happy to close this out. I really need to just bring all of you listeners up to close. Like Terry and I simultaneously have consumed 48 ounces. We cracked one open right before the end. I'm at 3, you're at 4. But we just opened this up. So if I were to consider the open, that would put me at 64 ounces. That puts you at 60. So does that mean we have a chug off? Like who wins this?
Oh, it's not a competition. Well, trust me.
Okay, because I know there's a dude like I'm hurting right now. Like if I have another one, like I'm gonna be like, I can't chug one on.
Mark's the smartest person on this call right
Yes,
now.
he is. And he's recording. And by the way, Mark, I fully expect our feedback after this session.
Oh, that'd
Oh,
be
no,
great.
I'll upload it to Rilla. Don't worry. You got it.
Yeah, bro.
Well,
Yeah,
give me some criteria you want. Like, who's a funnier person? Like, do you want that? Do you want, like, out of everybody, who's the funniest? You tell me what you want. I'll
well, we already know who the more charismatic one is. So yeah, who's addressing more humor? Who's got better questions? That would be the better.
Who could be considered the slowest, either in like verbal or like mental acuity?
Homie, you mean slowest like intelligence? Like
let's see where this goes.
What are you talking like I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is slow? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, actually, yeah, throw that in there. Which one has a problem mentally? Throw that in there.
Oh, for sure. I know for that sense, I'll win that 100 out of 100 times.
This is great, though, because if somebody made it this far through the podcast, if you want some research on this, throw it in the comments, and we'll get feedback from Mark, and we'll just keep recycling the data. Maybe we cite it. We'll put the podcast on Rilla and just get continuous feedback of like how we're degrading in our intelligence as we go through the show. Anyway, Mark, I love you as a human being. You are awesome. You bring so much joy to the world and to home services. Man, you're the man. And to you tradies out there, you guys are out there kicking ass. Terry, glad to have you back, sir.
Good, sir.
And we're not going to have a chug off. We're just going to call it 48 ounces tied today. And then we'll see you guys next week. Thanks. See you guys.
Thank you, guys.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Beers with Contractors. We hope you enjoyed our chat as much as we did. Before we say our final goodbyes, a friendly reminder. Beers with Contractors encourages responsible drinking. If you choose to enjoy a beverage during our time together, please do so in moderation and only if you're of legal drinking age in your country or state. Furthermore, the advice and insights shared in this podcast are for informational purposes only. Always consult with professionals and experts in your field, and be sure to follow local laws and regulations regarding licensing and permits. We're here to help, entertain, and inspire, but your safety and compliance are important. So, as you head out into the world of construction and contracting, remember to build responsibly and make decisions that stand the test of time. Thanks for joining us today. We'll catch you on the next episode of Beers with Contractors. Until then, cheers to your success.